Nick.
And this is
News with Nestrs, where we're talking about last week's headlines regarding short-term rentals and Airbnb.
All right, you're starting us off.
I am.
What you got?
So our first story is, are you guys considering an investment? Are you shopping specifically for a property that is going to be intended to be an Airbnb?
Lots of people actually are.
Yes. So if you are, here's some tips. Right now, the South and the West seem to be your best bet in regards to annual income. So you're looking between $20K and $34K per unit in some of these hot spots. So like, for example, if you are in California, Virginia Beach is actually a popular one, which is kind of...
That's East Coast.
Yeah, which is the only East Coaster in there.
Okay.
Also, Texas, Georgia, Florida, and Louisiana, because they're destination spots year-round. So I think some of these northern territories, unless there's an anchor that's driving them
there,
it slows down during January, February.
Got it. But I guess it also depends too what your expenses are as the investor.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
Got it.
Now let's flip the pages here. If you're our guests, where's the best place to stay?
Okay.
So actually, believe it or not, the Pacific Northwest is a great place to stay if you are a guest as an Airbnb.
So what, are hosts like getting more 5-star reviews, more...
It's funny you say that, Sarah, because a majority of the Airbnb hosts out there are super hosts. They actually have the highest number of super hosts nationwide.
Overachievers.
Yeah. And your average night stay is under $100.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're getting awesome hosts and it's more affordable?
Yeah.
Even though the Pacific Northwest is crazy expensive.
Correct.
Because we were going to be Airbnb hosts out there, but we were like, it is like how much you make versus how much your investment costs was so small.
Well, I think this is a good thing because there's so much competition that people are elevating their game.
Yeah.
So every place is good to stay, or a majority of them are.
Okay.
Right? So that's driving down the prices just a little bit and increasing the quality. Competition.
Yeah, it's good for everybody.
It's good for everybody.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
That is it.
All right, cool. So next up on our list for stories for this past week, landlord-tenant relationships are changing thanks to Airbnb and a few other things that we're not going to talk about because they're not related to Airbnb. This is not a real estate news show, even though we love real estate news.
Yeah.
So anyway, because of the rising interest rates, rents are going to be rising, which is good news for landlords, right? And
the rents are catching up to the real estate market over the last few years.
Sure, and in some areas it's going, above what was market value.
Right.
So, but if you're a tenant, because there's Airbnb, rents are getting to be a little more pricey. So if you go away for a weekend and your landlord allows you to Airbnb, this can offset those higher prices, making it win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that you're getting your landlord's permission. And now because Airbnb is becoming more accepted around, so Nick and I alone, we do a lot of consulting and people talk to us about Airbnb a lot because we've been in this game for a while. It seems like all of a sudden, everyone's trying to hop on board. They're saying, okay, Airbnb's here to stay. I want in on this. So talking to your landlord, if you're a guest, is not that much of a lost cause. It's very likely they might be interested in having you do this, right? It means that if they're allowing their tenants to Airbnb and making it win-win for both parties, it's more likely that tenant is not going to move out, which reduces the landlord's vacancy rates. Now, some landlords are either charging a fee, allowing the tenant to do that. So this article said that it's $50 an extra fee a month to allow you to Airbnb your apartment for, one weekend out of the month or whatever, making it win-win for both parties because as a host, you'll make more than that.
Sure.
And apparently it's becoming trending where on Airbnb listings on the marketplace, in the Airbnb marketplace, it says cozy 2-bedroom in Columbus, Ohio, landlord approved. Showing that you don't have, as a guest, you don't have to sneak around because you know that the host landlord doesn't approve of it.
Yeah, I think the whole point of coming to a place is to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So if your host is telling you, you got to be quiet because of this.
Yeah,
or that,
be discreet because my landlord doesn't
I'm
know.
not doing this legally.
That's not fun for the guest, which people do that though.
That's very common.
Other landlords are just getting in on the game with the tenant. Cool, you can Airbnb your space when you're on vacation or traveling, but I want 10% of what you make or whatever that is. I think still making it win-win. Remember, the landlord owns the property. It's that person's business. And as a tenant, you have to agree to whatever the landlord, whatever rules and regulations he sets. And you also have to remember, like with the Airbnb guests, you don't know who's really staying, even if more and more guests are being approved. But there's noise concerns, there's liability there. So letting your landlord in on that income is a good thing.
I think there's less risk if you're going to be on the property, but if you, in this particular case, if you're going away, you're going to be on vacation yourself,
right?
You really need to have those systems put in place,
yeah.
and the expectation there,
yeah.
so that there's no trouble.
But if you're a landlord, consider working with your tenants, because if your tenant stays for longer, just think less vacancy rates, maybe another way for you to charge an additional fee. It could be win-win.
And they're getting it professionally cleaned on the turnover, so your property's going to be taken care of.
Yeah. And listen, Airbnb is competitive, so this host, on again, off again host, has to have a good product so that it gets rented that weekend they're gone. Right. If they've got bad reviews, no one wants to rent from them. So they have to take care of your property, make it look good. All right, what's next?
So I think entrepreneurship has been this trendy thing that everybody wants to do now, right?
Yeah.
And an easy, I shouldn't say easy, but certainly a fun way to do that would be to join forces with Airbnb and become part of the Airbnb experiences that they're launching all over now.
So yeah, it launched in 2016.
Right.
And it's getting traction.
Sure, and that was in the United States. So then they have all these other countries are starting to jump on board now. So this particular article is focusing on Bermuda and other Caribbean islands. So it looks like, let's see, right now Airbnb offers Airbnb experiences in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and Martinique, as well as Bermuda, which is just coming this month. And they're actually pushing the locals to jump on board by February because they want to have a very positive and successful launch for this. But you can apply to do this at any time. The whole idea behind this is to reach out to the locals and nothing specific. They kind of want to leave it in the hands of the people who live there. Like, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies?
What do you want to share with people who are traveling here?
So that they can have a more authentic experience as tourists.
Yeah. If you check out last week's Airbnb News with Nestrs with us, that was redundant.
It was us.
We talked about the opportunity to actually apply, and this is an application situation. I think, what was it, February 15th or 17th? I forget.
17th for Italy?
Yeah, where you can partner up literally with Airbnb. I think they're selecting like 4 or 6 people to go out to this little place in Italy and create experiences, but you would live there for 3 months for free in exchange for volunteering to get this little village like up and running, get tourism back. So I think Airbnb is doubling down this whole experience thing.
This is a second whole component of the Airbnb business that allows you don't even have to have an Airbnb yourself to offer experiences. So we have family in Hawaii who they don't have any Airbnbs. They have surfing lessons that they can reach out and offer on Airbnb experiences, which is really, really cool if you ask me.
Yeah, it's like anyone can be an entrepreneur. Really, anyone can.
Yeah.
There's something that you have to offer, even if it's sharing the love of your city.
And just so everybody knows, there's no fees to sign up for this. They just take a fee based on your total income.
Because Airbnb is offering marketing.
Absolutely. So they give you the free, all that's included. Like you get free marketing, free exposure, free everything, and they just take a small piece of your total income.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So this next story is epic. So forgive me if I'm like reading it in the paper here, but
it's like 4 pages.
But I thought it was a really good article to share with you guys. So, okay, we all know that a lot of cities are giving Airbnb a really hard time, saying that it's taking away from affordable housing in bigger cities, and it's gentrifying areas of cities that people aren't happy about. It's driving up prices of real estate. It's doing all of these things. Now, I don't know, because you read one report, it says one thing. You read another report by Airbnb.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So there's several different groups here, and some people are actually happy about gentrification, and other people aren't because they're being forced to move because they can't afford to live there anymore.
Right. And I think it takes all kinds to make a community really beautiful. I mean, you and I look for diversity when we move to places. So,
well, I mean, New York City is actually a great example of this, where the city got involved.
Yeah.
They build a skyscraper, and a certain percentage of the building is allocated to. So you have
affordable housing.
Yeah. So you have affordable housing, and typically in the lower levels, and you have luxury apartments, and the disparity in price points are Huge.
Right.
But they live in the same building.
I love that.
They go to the same coffee shop downstairs.
Yeah.
And they pass each other, and honestly,
As it should be.
It makes for a better community. Things are a little bit more balanced.
I know some arguments for the taxes that Airbnb collects could go back into affordable housing, can go back into communities where the people who are living in those communities don't have to dig into their pockets, right? The city can then put those taxes back. So anyway, all this to say, other people notice the good side of Airbnb and what is reportedly the bad side of Airbnb.
I think it's important to focus on and see the whole picture too.
Right.
Like I don't think there's anything in life where it's 100% awesome.
It's not, and especially when technology is getting involved. And we shared this one situation on Instagram where it's like, Airbnb is not killing the hotel industry. Options within the hotel industry is what's killing. And I don't even think the hotel industry is being killed. People are still wanting to stay in a hotel environment and have that option. But again, it's about option. And as long as we stay customer focused, those businesses are going to thrive.
We need to get comfortable with adapting as entrepreneurs and just as consumers in general, because that's where we're at.
So actually, one entrepreneur, I can't tell where he's from, but so his name's, I think it's Cito Veracruz, a one-time Airbnb host who lives in Amsterdam, believes there are clear positives that come from short-term rentals, and then there are negatives that come from short-term rentals. And he sees both sides of the coin, and so he, among apparently other people, are aiming to take those concerns and those positive things and then change the way this whole short-term rental platform can be run. So he started a company called Airbnb. And apparently and it's going to be available in 5 European cities in April: Amsterdam, Venice, Italy, and then Spain. And the company pledges to give half of its profits to local projects such as housing for neighborhood associations, nonprofit food cooperatives, or community gardens. He also wants to be more transparent with the hosts' information that they upload onto Airbnb. He's going to share that with the city so that there's no illegal hosting going on. So he's trying to take the arguments from both sides and creating a new business that meets in the middle.
Yeah.
So
I think it has some merit, but launching a business with this type of infrastructure took Airbnb a decade, so I mean.
Well, then then maybe Airbnb did the foundation, and now, hey, there's capitalism again. Like, I don't know. I mean, taking on Airbnb is a huge undertaking because they are just exploding. I don't know.
We're gonna find out though.
Yeah, but so it's called Airbnb. If you want to find out more about it, you can Google it. We'll also have a link to this article that features this story.
That story actually kind of piggybacks on my next one, where Hawaii, Honolulu specifically, was having the whole issue with illegal vacation rentals.
Right, we talked about that last week.
So a judge did come back and say it's unconstitutional to request that private information from individuals, but it doesn't solve their issue. So the city, I think what happened is basically the city's like trying to identify this group of people and say, hey, we want all your information and that you have on these individuals, so that we can collect taxes from them.
Yeah.
Now they can go after each individual, the city, but to go after a group of people and the way that they're trying to do it through Airbnb, where their information is supposed to be private, it was considered unconstitutional. So for now, at least.
If you're a legal host in Hawaii, no one's going to know about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you're in paradise. So Hawaii has, and I can't speak for the whole planet, but I feel like everything that I've read and seen, Hawaii has more illegal vacation rentals than anywhere in the world, just because and anywhere that in the United States.
There's also very limited land.
Sure.
Right? So it's tough. It's tough.
And it's paradise.
It is paradise. I've been there. Last year for the first time was gorgeous.
So I get why you're renting out your.
So for right now, they're kind of like.
Yeah, I mean.
Hawaii is just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think the judge basically said. So the city's saying they're missing out on $41 million in revenue for taxes, but the judge said, don't exaggerate. He felt that they were just pulling those numbers out of because. The bottom line is that all those vacation rentals are not Airbnbs. There's many different platforms and many different systems in
Why are we picking on Airbnb?
Sure. I did find this interesting though. And the reason also that it might be such an issue in Hawaii, or Oahu alone, established 3,700 illegal vacation rentals, and only 830 of them were grandfathered in as legal listings. And that's because in 1986, they outlawed all new vacation rentals. So if you owned before 1986, you're good, and you get grandfathered in. And anyone else who pursues vacation rentals after that,
sorry,
they don't have a choice. So they're taking the chance and going for it. And what those repercussions have been, I mean, there's fines and there's a lot of stuff, but most of them are not.
Now, if you bought
identified.
someone's vacation rental, like, you know, someone's in 86, now it's how many years later?
I don't know how
It's
that
almost
works.
30 years later now.
It should transfer with ownership, but I don't know. They're always writing new laws to kind of limit this because of the issue that's happening.
Yeah. Okay, our last story of this week, which is actually pretty exciting. Airbnb hires founding CEO of Virgin America to expand into transportation. So we all know that Airbnb is trying to do more than just be a rental platform for homeowners or whomever, subleasers. And they're about to go public either this year or next year. Everyone's kind of speculating when that's going to happen. So Airbnb has to obviously make money for its investors while still remaining true to its core values. So they went ahead and they hired the founding CEO of Virgin Airlines, Fred Reed, who has more than 3 decades of experience in global aviation. So his job is to build partnerships with travel and tourism companies to help provide Airbnb users with transportation in addition to lodging accommodation. So they're not interested in building their own airline, Airbnb, or creating just another place on the internet where you can buy a plane ticket. But Brian Chesky, one of the Airbnb co-founders, said in a statement, but there is a tremendous opportunity to improve the transportation experience for everyone. So at Airbnb, Reed plans to explore how he can improve the travel experience. Whether on the air or on the ground, there are tremendous opportunities to create products and forge partnerships with other companies that make travel easier and even fun. At the end of 2016, Airbnb released what it calls the Airbnb Policy Tool Chest to offer local governments more information on resources. They draft rules for home sharing. So I think Airbnb is just trying to figure out ways to diversify smartly.
I think this is very smart, especially Virgin America is that trendy, fun, innovative brand, and they want to bring that magic to Airbnb. So smart, good job Airbnb.
Well, I still feel a little like, I don't even know what that means. So you're gonna take transportation opportunities and make it more fun. I don't know. I'm excited to watch.
If you develop partnerships with some of these companies and make the whole travel process a little bit more streamlined and easier for the consumer,
right,
I think it's going to be a better experience. People are going to want to travel more. I know a lot of people who they're like they love to travel, but they maybe only limit to one.
Right, they feel like it's out of their
reach.
Financial, comfort.
Not only that, but not only is it a financial burden, it's a time commitment. Planning these vacations are expensive.
Yeah.
This might hurt your vacation planning boutique places that book your trips and stuff like that, because Airbnb sounds like they're taking that into their own hands.
Unless there could be a travel planner who takes into consideration Airbnb hosts, Airbnb experiences, travel, and can create a package for someone.
And maybe that's what they're doing.
At a more affordable cost.
Maybe he'll be reaching out to travel agencies to make that connection.
I have no idea. Anyway, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Nick.
That's this week's News with Nestrs. We're going to bring you hot headlines to keep you a more informed host and a more informed guest if you use Airbnb to travel with pleasure or business. So we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Bye.